Have you checked the children? Your little mess
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
Sometimes that is better.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Horror Show. I'm Cecil Laird.
And Jaime and Fuego here.
And we're doing a movie review today, you guys, that is an odd one, okay? This is one that some people would say is not due to a review, or due for review on our channel, being a horror channel. I would contend that this is just a different street in the neighborhood that is horror. You know what I mean? This is definitely a movie that is horrific, especially if you put yourself in the position of the characters in the movie. However, it is done more as a romantic comedy with horror elements.
And
right?
dramatic elements.
Dramatic elements for
Yeah,
sure. You're
yeah.
not wrong. You're 100% right there. And that, quite frankly, is what elevated the movie for me.
Same.
One moment in particular,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay, they went for it, and I am on board, and so this movie I'm talking about is called Spontaneous. We did a trailer reaction for it as one of our reaction roundups one week, and
Which I was kind of down on.
you were, and I was kind of up on. Like,
Yeah.
I was interested in the idea.
You and Marcia both.
Yeah.
Yeah, Marcia needs to watch this. Too bad.
She really does.
Yeah.
But guys, this movie was the sleeper surprise for me of 2020. I can almost guarantee you that if you watch our best of the year, that this is likely going to make it on my list for this year. I enjoyed it that much. It is not the deepest of movies, but it was so well presented and so well acted and so unique in its presentation compared to everything else that I saw this year. It's on the level of Scare Me, right? Scare Me also completely unique in its presentation.
Very different vibe. Well, I mean, maybe not with the comedy aspect.
But I'm talking about unique presentation.
Oh,
is
yeah,
what I'm
yeah.
saying.
Oh, yeah,
Compared to every
absolutely.
other movie that's out there, these two movies were done differently, and I
Yeah.
really appreciated that, especially about Spontaneous. They got me feeling, and this is still overall thoughts, and I'm going on and on, but I loved it. I loved it.
Yeah, I was very close to love with this one, and that's saying a lot with the fact that I was kind of hating on, oh, it's CW, and then it's these young kids and the references to ET and so on. I don't know for whatever reason why the trailer was off-putting to me, because you still get that sort of vibe earlier in the film when we'll get to in the story what's happening to these high school students, this affliction, this disease, whatever you want to say that they start to get. But it was really in the development of this romantic relationship, and I'm one of those suckers for coming of age when it's done well, especially when there's that sort of first love influence that's in there, and this really hit it in spades without getting too much in the story, and the second half and the journey that entails. And it's also another one that's probably very timely with what we've experienced in 2020 as well, dare I say, in some ways similar to Utopia, at least as far as being just, wow, we're watching this year. Dang, okay.
Tell me that you don't get the similar vibes as far as the tone of that Sam Rockwell summer water slide movie where the kid goes off for the summer.
That is one that I have wanted to see.
You never saw that one?
I never saw that one. And now I'm trying to remember.
I can't remember what it's called.
I still
like
remember,
the way back, maybe.
I think that was what it was called. It was the kid with it. He had like the poster and with the goggles and stuff.
Yeah,
in front.
and he's in the pool because the water park and Sam Rockwell. Yeah. So if you guys saw the way back, that sort of coming of age.
A little younger
romance
in that regard.
Young, but still the coming of age romance and that's what I loved about it. All right, so I'm going to segue into story.
Please do, yeah.
So it's about this high school class they're in, it's just high school, right? And our main girl's just sitting there, and all of a sudden one of the kids just explodes, spontaneously combusts.
It's this girl who was like the lust of a lot of other students, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, she just explodes, and everyone freaks out and runs away, and everyone is being counseled after the fact, and no one knows what happened. But then soon after that, other students in this high school class start exploding, and it just becomes like it's about this main girl who is going through, it is definitely one of those movies that's done really well where everything is analogous to what teenagers go through, right? All of the issues they have of worry and everything, and you know, this disease that could be passed to you that you have no idea what it's about, and there's all these things that it could be, but basically this girl focuses on the fact that, you know, she wants to start living her life because she doesn't know she could explode tomorrow. And it's the same with this other boy in the class who rapidly after the incident asks her out because he's like, you know, I watched this girl explode and I realized I've had a crush on you for years and I would never have said anything, but if I explode tomorrow, I want to have at least said something. And so it's this relationship that develops between these two kids in and amongst the chaos of their school, and it becomes even bigger than this, right? Because the town, all of their parents are freaked out and pull them out of school for a little while, and yet it doesn't stop the kids from exploding, and so they're all re-quarantined into the school because the rest of the world doesn't know why these kids are exploding.
And there's some funny moments with the re-quarantining and stuff.
It's crazy. It's such an interesting film that is just, I've never seen anything like it as far as subject matter, and so I really latched onto it. I love things that are different, and the thing that drove me the most in this was the whip-smart dialogue.
Yes.
It was so well written and so well paced and so well executed that, again, at a particular moment, the movie shifts almost entirely.
Yeah.
Where you're like, I thought the movie ended. And then it continued for like another 30 minutes, and I was like, wow, my mind was like briefly blown in that moment. Anyway, that's the crux of the story, and I'm going on about it.
It's a funny analogy to use as well, which is...
Thank you. But yeah, story-wise for you, how did you enjoy it?
It was biggest because of the dichotomy and the contrast of, you know, just this very simple sort of, you know, high school, you know, situation, coming of age, you know, friendships and love and things like that, but also just set in such a dire, nasty situation. It embraces it more so in the second half of the film, but in the first half, I mean, once again, as you mentioned already, but the whole kind of quick with the quips, Kevin Smith Jr. sort of thing, which is why I like movies like Saved, and even to a degree, you know, stuff like Can't Hardly Wait, Easy A.
West Wing kind of dialogue.
Yeah,
the guy that's known
times,
for that. You know?
Yeah, very observant and just, you know, very sharp and biting, and, you know, slightly cynical because, damn, I'm still cynical, but it started to take its formation when I was, you know, that sort of age, you know, 15, 16, 17, whatever. And yeah, there is such a sweetness in how our two leads were written together, but yet there is also, even more so, our main girl. You know, props to the casting for not going with a like completely bone skinny sort of blondie. You know, that's like totally, you know, off basis. But yeah, I mean, it's more so than often there is so much body shaming that goes on, and that's, you know, whatever. It was just something that came to mind, and her performance is great.
I thought she was great.
Yeah, and it's not even a factor, but it's just something as far as yeah.
I get your point.
I'm losing my train of thought.
I get your point. You're saying it's not the usual casting necessarily, but I think she was great, perfect for the role. I didn't have that thought personally, but if you did, you did. There you go.
Okay. I didn't mean it in a negative way.
No, and it's not. Yeah, I didn't take it as a negative way. I'm just trying to clarify so they don't take it as a negative way.
Well, I would hope I didn't put it as such, but yeah, man. I mean, this was far more razor sharp than I anticipated from the trailer, and just the more emotional heavy lifting that you get. I mean, props to, you know, the scripter in this, our screenwriter. And so,
screenwriter, yeah. Mm-hmm. It was just surprising how enjoyable it was, and that is in large part due to the acting as well. All of the kids, you always run a risk making a movie that is child focused, whether it be teens, young adults, mini children, you know, whatever, but this high school age, you can often have big swings in acting prowess within even the same movie. But I would say that everyone acquitted themselves very, very well in this movie. I didn't have anyone that brought me out of it. They were all adequately scared for being in this situation and yet still trying to live life. Like, it's just, to me, in this one, I think it's fun because even the extras got to do some acting, right? Where just the people in the background are still playing kids that are worried about exploding at any moment. So they're able to put performance into what they're doing instead of just walking across the hallway. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. And also, since we've mentioned the two leads so much, you see on the poster for this movie, but yeah, they obviously had tremendous chemistry and they were great. The parents brought it in a more interesting fashion than I was expecting in certain cases because of the fact that there was hysteria, but it was hysterical at times, and that's really what this movie, it deals with some very weighty subjects. It makes them lightweight at times, but it doesn't feel as disjointed as it does in certain other movies. Like the laughs for the most part hit based on, you know, the parents and, you know, all of these younger actors that are, you know, delivering lines, and, you know, whether it's physical comedy or whatever, but also in the emotional department when there is life lost. Like earlier on, it's more derpy and goofy and stuff, but as more lives are lost, as they realize the increasing severity of the situation, that's where the movie packs so much more of a punch from its actors, both young and old.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And then effects-wise, we got to touch on the effects. I mean, there was a lot of music to this one as well.
There was.
So we can talk about that. Well, let's reverse it as opposed to the last one we did music and then effects. This one, the effects were largely practical. There were some bursts that were, yes, CG amplified, but everyone gets doused in blood around them. Like the explosions really explode over people, and like
Nickelodeon guts back in the day where you're just covered in it, or a Guar concert. I'm sure if Robert Jewell was here, he would appreciate. But yeah, just being covered in like viscera and entrails, and, you know, just like
it's on the level, if not above the level, of the finale of The Boys season 2.
Yeah,
with,
agreed.
You know,
yeah, where Homelander
people
is
popping.
covered. Yeah, exactly. People popping, which is what the whole movie's about, man. yeah, and they do it well. I mean, I didn't really the fact that there was so much like practical goop and, you know, just like blood and whatnot that was all over these actors when they do enhance the explosion. I didn't really feel like they lingered on it. It was they were more so not trying to show the actual pop, but the reaction of those around.
It'll
them
sometimes
that were
be just
getting
from off
covered.
camera, you know, just in the background off camera. Sometimes it'll just be the sounds.
And it happened so spontaneously, just like Kenny in that episode where he couldn't help holding in his farts from his new girlfriend.
But that's all part of the filmmaking, right? There's an entire scene where we're following our girl while she's having a conversation with someone, and then in the background, you just hear like this, and then screams. And then a couple of seconds later, you see people flood into the background, running covered in blood. And it's like, that's really cool filmmaking where you don't have to cut to all of that. Yeah. It all happens in the background with the audio.
Which also correlates with the sound design as we segue into music and sound and
100%.
stuff like that, because of the fact that, yeah, it sounded goopy, and just but also the fact that, you know, being the spontaneous combustion that's happening with these kids, it really takes you off guard. And so that sound design, as it just like hit your headphones or your speakers or whatever, it is more effective because of that unexpected aspect.
And I will say, just as a little interlude, I did allude to this a bit earlier, but there was a moment, I'm not going to spoil what happens, but there is a moment in the movie where my jaw dropped, and I was like, if the movie ends right here, I will be so impressed. And yet it continued, and luckily I was happy with what they did with the continuation.
I was very
but
much
that
okay with
that moment is so shocking, where I was like, like I never, that doesn't happen with me when I watch movies anymore. So
I'm with you, and that's where like in movies like this, you think your main characters are safe for the most part without really getting too into it and like specific or spoilery. This is a movie that will keep you on your toes, just as the writing intended to. So, you know, effective job in that regard, man.
For sure.
Oof, I'm with you on that part.
So, I don't know, I think we've touched on pretty much everything.
Yeah,
so
man, this was an impressive surprise for me. I was not expecting to dig this movie.
Definitely a Blu-ray I'm going to purchase.
If I see it on some sort of, holiday deal, yeah, I think I would add this to my collection.
I don't even need a holiday deal. I liked it that much. And it's one I would definitely share with other people, especially the younger audience. I think this is gateway horror for young generations right now. I think this is one that you could put on, and it would be like, okay, now let me transition you to something even more crazy. But
it also gave me vibes. It also gave me vibes of a film that I don't think you ever got around to watching, not in actual like subject matter, but in tone and in vibe, which is Tragedy Girls, which is another one.
I did watch that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's got two friends.
Yeah, exactly. It has similarities. You do have some emotional heft, that comes later in the film and stuff, and it's also like quite gory when it
Well,
wants
they're
to be.
trying to be bad. These.
Yeah, exactly. This was a
just
different sort of
tone,
situation.
yeah.
Okay, so I'm wrong on tone. Maybe some of the humor and in just the over the topness of it when the humor comes.
I think age-wise, yes, I think the same audience that would enjoy
Would
Tragedy
totally
Girls would enjoy Spontaneous.
gain
I
away
think
with
that's a
something
very
like this,
I
yeah.
think that's totally fair. So
Yeah, this is the showrunner steering me in the right correlation. So
just making sure we're steering the audience the right way.
Yeah, truly.
Guys, if you haven't watched it, definitely seek out and check out Spontaneous, or wait until it's available if you must. But it is always worth your time, whether you pay for it or not. Definitely check it out. If you enjoyed the video, click the like button and subscribe. We greatly appreciate you guys checking it out. And if you want to become a patron, support the channel a little more directly, the link to that is in the description box. You can actually suggest movies for us to review on a monthly basis.
Tell us what to do.
Indeed. So thank you guys for watching. I've been Cecil Laird.
And gracias, Jaime en Fuego.
And remember,
Stay
stay scared.